Close your eyes for just a moment. Imagine waking up on a Saturday morning sometime in the 1950s, the 60s, or maybe even the early 70s. The sun is shining through the curtains. Somewhere in the kitchen, you can smell bacon sizzling in a cast iron skillet. Fresh coffee is brewing. The newspaper has just landed on the front porch with a familiar thud. The television hasn't even been turned on yet. There are no text messages waiting for you, no emails demanding your attention, no endless stream of notifications lighting up your phone, because there is no phone in your pocket. Life isn't moving at 100 miles an hour. Instead, it seems to breathe. People greet one another by name. Children race through neighborhoods until the streetlights come on. Neighbors stop to chat over backyard fences. Families eat dinner together every evening. Music drifts from open windows. And somehow, without realizing it, the ordinary moments become the ones we remember forever. Was life truly better back then? Or have our memories simply painted yesterday with brighter colors? Perhaps the answer lies somewhere in between. Today, we're taking a journey back to a time when conversations happened face-to-face, entertainment didn't require a password, communities felt closer, and happiness was often found in life's simplest pleasures. So pour yourself a cup of coffee, settle into your favorite chair, and let's revisit yesterday, because sometimes looking back helps us better appreciate where we are today, when time moved more slowly. If there's one thing almost everyone says about the good old days, it's this: life felt slower, not because clocks ticked differently, but because people lived differently. Today, our calendars are packed, appointments overlap, phones buzz every few minutes. Many people answer work emails while eating dinner. Some even scroll through social media before saying good morning to their families. Yesterday was different. After work, work stayed at work. Evenings belonged to families. Weekends belonged to friends. Vacations actually meant disconnecting. People weren't constantly reachable. And strangely enough, that made every conversation feel more meaningful. Waiting wasn't considered an inconvenience. It was simply part of life. You waited for birthday cards to arrive in the mail. You waited for your favorite television program each week. You waited months for the newest album from your favorite singer. You even waited patiently for photographs to be developed before discovering whether they turned out well. Life rewarded patience, and perhaps that's why those moments became so memorable. The neighborhood that raised everyone, one of the greatest treasures of yesterday, wasn't found inside homes. It existed between them. Neighborhoods weren't simply collections of houses. They were communities. Children didn't need play dates scheduled weeks in advance. They simply walked outside. Within minutes, bicycles filled the sidewalks. Baseball games appeared in empty lots. Kickball started in the street. Someone always knew where everyone else lived. Parents rarely worried. Every adult on the block looked out for every child. If someone scraped a knee, another mother brought out bandages. If a child stayed outside too late, someone's father reminded them it was time to head home. The phrase, "It takes a village to raise a child," wasn't just an expression. People actually lived that way. Summer evenings seemed endless. Fireflies danced above freshly cut grass. Ice cream trucks slowly rolled through neighborhoods while children searched their pockets for spare change. Laughter echoed until the streetlights flickered on. Without anyone saying a word, every child knew what that meant: time to go. Many people today remember that simple ritual more vividly than expensive vacations, because happiness wasn't measured by what people owned, it was measured by the moments they shared. Family dinners that everyone attended. Perhaps nowhere has life changed more dramatically than around the dinner table. Decades ago, dinner wasn't optional. It wasn't eaten separately, it wasn't rushed. Families gathered every evening around one table. Parents asked children about school. Grandparents shared stories from long ago. Brothers and sisters teased one another. Conversations stretched long after dessert had disappeared. Nobody checked text messages. Nobody answered emails. Nobody disappeared into another room carrying a phone. The television remained off. For 1 hour, sometimes longer, families simply enjoyed each other's company. Many lifelong values were quietly passed from one generation to the next around those dinner tables. Respect, responsibility, kindness, gratitude. Stories became family history. Recipes became tradition. Simple conversations became lifelong memories. Looking back, many people don't remember exactly what they ate, but they never forget who was sitting beside them. Saturday morning magic. If you grew up before streaming services, Saturday mornings felt almost magical. Children woke before sunrise, not because anyone told them to, but because cartoons were waiting. Bowls of sugary cereal balanced carefully on coffee tables. Pajamas remained on until lunchtime. Favorite characters appeared only once each week. Missed the episode, and there was no replay. No recording, no internet. You simply waited until next Saturday. Oddly enough, that made every cartoon feel more exciting. Children talked about episodes all week long at school. Everyone watched the same programs. Everyone shared the same excitement. It created a common childhood experience that millions still remember today. Saturday afternoons brought Little League baseball, fishing trips, building tree houses, or simply exploring nearby woods with friends until sunset. Entertainment didn't need batteries, or Wi-Fi, or monthly subscriptions. Imagination did most of the work. The golden age of Main Street long. Before giant shopping malls and online retailers, Main Street stood at the center of nearly every American town. Every store had personality. The barber knew your name. The pharmacist asked about your family. The baker remembered your favorite loaf of bread. The hardware store owner could recommend exactly the right tool. People didn't rush in and out. They stopped, talked, caught up on local news. Many businesses had served the same families for generations. Store windows changed with every season. Christmas decorations appeared in December. Patriotic banners decorated sidewalks during the 4th of July. Halloween pumpkins lined storefronts every October. Main Street wasn't simply where people shopped. It was where communities came alive. Young couples held hands while window shopping. Teenagers gathered at soda fountains after school. Older residents sat on benches greeting neighbors as they passed. Every visit felt personal, something that's becoming increasingly rare today. When music filled every home, before smartphones placed millions of songs into our pockets. Music required intention. Families gathered around large wooden radios. Teenagers proudly saved money for record players. Vinyl albums became treasured possessions. People didn't skip through dozens of songs. They listened to entire albums. From beginning to end, reading every lyric, admiring every album cover, sharing favorite songs with friends became an event. Neighbors borrowed records from one another. Couples danced together in living rooms. Children learned the same songs their parents loved. Music connected generations. Not through algorithms, but through shared experiences. Every crackle of a vinyl record, every spin of a turntable, every favorite melody became part of family history. And as America entered the 1950s and 1960s, those songs would begin shaping an entire generation, creating memories that still live on decades later. The soundtrack of yesterday wasn't confined to concert halls or dance clubs. It followed people everywhere. From kitchen radios during breakfast, to car speakers on Sunday drives, to jukeboxes glowing in neighborhood diners. Music wasn't something you simply listened to. It became woven into everyday life. And perhaps that's why hearing an old song today can instantly transport us back decades. But music wasn't the only thing that brought people together. There was another tradition that millions remember with a smile, one that disappeared almost as quietly as it arrived. The magic of the drive-in theater. As the sun dipped below the horizon, families piled into station wagons, pickup trucks, and shiny sedans. Children wore pajamas. Parents packed homemade popcorn, blankets, and soft drinks. Teenagers polished their cars, hoping to impress someone special. Their destination wasn't a modern multiplex. It was the local drive-in theater. For many Americans during the 1950s and 1960s, the drive-in was more than a place to watch movies. It was an experience. Cars lined up beneath giant outdoor screens, metal speakers hooked onto partially rolled down windows, Children laughed in playgrounds before the movie began. Friends gathered in lawn chairs beside their vehicles. Young couples watched the stars almost as much as they watched the film. When darkness finally settled across the sky, thousands of headlights disappeared, and a giant screen came alive. For a few magical hours, everyday worries faded away. Sadly, most drive-ins disappeared as land values increased and indoor theaters became more profitable. Yet those fortunate enough to experience them still speak about them with unmistakable affection, because it wasn't just about the movie. It was about the memory. The diner around the corner, nearly every town had one. A place where the coffee was always fresh, the pie was homemade, and everybody seemed to know everybody else. The neighborhood diner. Chrome stools lined the counter. Waitresses greeted regular customers by name. The jukebox quietly played the latest hits while cooks flipped burgers behind the grill. Teenagers gathered after football games. Truck drivers stopped before sunrise. Families celebrated birthdays. Local business owners discussed the day's events over endless cups of coffee. There were no reservations, no online reviews, no food delivery apps. People came because the food was good. But they returned because the people made them feel at home. In many communities, the diner served as the unofficial town square. Friendships were formed, romances began, business deals were sealed, and lifelong memories were created over simple meals that somehow tasted better because they were shared. Summer vacations. Before the internet, long before GPS navigation, travel blogs, and smartphones, summer vacations felt like genuine adventures. Families unfolded giant paper maps across the kitchen table. Routes were carefully highlighted with markers. Dad usually insisted he knew the fastest way. Mom packed sandwiches, lemonade, and enough snacks to feed everyone twice over. Children argued about who got the window seat. No one wore headphones. Instead, everyone talked, played guessing games, counted license plates from different states, or sang along with whatever happened to be playing on the radio. Road trips weren't about reaching the destination as quickly as possible. They were about the journey itself. Roadside attractions appeared unexpectedly. Gigantic dinosaurs, world's largest ball of twine, historic battlefields, quaint little towns that weren't listed in any guidebook. Families often stopped simply because something looked interesting. There was room for spontaneity. There was time to explore. Sometimes the memories people treasured most weren't made at famous landmarks. They happened while sharing ice cream at a roadside stand, watching the sunset from a motel balcony, or laughing together after taking a wrong turn. The television that brought everyone together. Television existed long before streaming, but it worked very differently. Families didn't watch whatever they wanted whenever they wanted. Everyone watched together. At the same time, missing an episode meant waiting until reruns months later if they aired at all. Shows became national events. Millions tuned in simultaneously. The next morning, everyone talked about the same episode. Children discussed cartoons on the playground. Adults debated sitcoms at work. Television created shared experiences. Programs like The Andy Griffith Show, Leave It to Beaver, I Love Lucy, Bonanza, The Carol Burnett Show, Mass, H.A., and The Wonderful World of Disney became weekly traditions. Many households planned dinner around television schedules. Some even hurried home from church on Sunday evenings so they wouldn't miss their favorite program. Watching television wasn't something people did while scrolling through another screen. It demanded attention. And because families watched together, they laughed together, cried together, and built memories together. Letters that took time, communication also felt different. If you wanted to tell someone you loved them, you often wrote a letter. Not a text, not an emoji, a real letter. People selected stationery carefully. They thought about every sentence, sometimes rewriting entire pages before sealing the envelope. Then came the waiting. Days, sometimes weeks, before a reply arrived. Yet, that anticipation made every letter precious. Many families still keep old letters tied together with ribbon, military letters, love letters, birthday cards, Christmas greetings. Each carries the handwriting of someone who may no longer be here. Unlike today's digital messages that disappear beneath thousands of newer ones, those handwritten words became treasured keepsakes. They preserved not only thoughts, but personalities. When neighbors became friends, perhaps the greatest difference between yesterday and today wasn't technology, it was connection. People knew their neighbors, not just by name. They knew their children's birthdays, their favorite baseball team, their struggles, their dreams. If someone became ill, meals appeared at the front door. If a family welcomed a new baby, neighbors offered help before anyone asked. If someone lost a loved one, the community gathered together. People depended on one another, not because they had to, but because they wanted to. Communities felt smaller, life felt more personal, and while no era was perfect, many people missed that sense of belonging. It's one of the reasons yesterday continues to hold such a special place in our hearts. As the decades rolled on, technology accelerated. The world became faster, homes became larger, cities became busier, yet many people quietly wondered, were we gaining convenience while losing something even more valuable? As the years passed, America entered a new era. Computers became household items. Cell phones began replacing landlines. The internet connected the world in ways previous generations could scarcely imagine. Life became faster. Information became instant. Entertainment became unlimited. In many ways, the future people had dreamed about had finally arrived. But with every new convenience, something else quietly slipped away. And that's why so many people continue looking back, not because they want to live in the past, but because they miss the feeling the past gave them, when simplicity was enough. Yesterday wasn't filled with luxury. Most families weren't wealthy. Many lived in modest homes. Children often shared bedrooms. Cars rarely had air conditioning. Televisions received only a handful of channels. Vacations were simple. Birthday parties were homemade. Christmas gifts weren't extravagant. Yet somehow, people often described those years as some of the happiest of their lives. Why? Because joy wasn't measured by how much people owned. It was measured by how much time they spent together. A deck of cards could entertain an entire evening. A backyard barbecue became a neighborhood celebration. A picnic at the local park created memories that lasted a lifetime. Children built forts out of blankets, played hide and seek until dark, caught lightning bugs in glass jars, made up games with nothing more than imagination. There was no pressure to constantly be entertained. People created their own fun. Perhaps that creativity made ordinary days feel extraordinary. The faces we never forgot. Think back to the people who made yesterday so special. The mailman who waved every morning. The school crossing guard who knew every child's name. The barber who had been cutting hair for 30 years. The local librarian who always recommended the perfect book. The corner grocery owner who let neighborhood kids buy candy with loose change collected from their pockets. These weren't famous people. They weren't celebrities, but they became unforgettable parts of everyday life. They represented consistency, trust, familiarity. In many ways, they helped define what home felt like. Today, we often interact with screens more than people. Self-checkout machines replace conversations. Online shopping replaces friendly store owners. Digital assistants answer questions once asked of neighbors. Technology has certainly made life more efficient, but efficiency and connection aren't always the same thing. The soundtrack of everyday life. Every generation has its music, and yesterday's music seemed to accompany every important milestone. The first slow dance, the first kiss, graduation day, wedding receptions, family road trips, holiday dinners, military homecomings, retirement parties, even final farewells. Songs became bookmarks in people's lives. One melody could instantly reopen an entire chapter of memory. You didn't simply remember hearing the song, you remembered where you were, who was beside you, how you felt. Perhaps that's why old songs remain so powerful. They don't simply entertain, they preserve pieces of our lives. A 3-minute record can carry 50 years of memories. Very few things possess that kind of magic. The lessons yesterday still teaches us. Looking back isn't about pretending life was perfect. It wasn't. Every generation faced hardship. Families worried about paying bills. Young men went to war. Communities endured economic downturns. Civil rights struggles challenged the nation. Natural disasters changed lives. Disease affected families. No decade escaped difficulty. Yet people often found ways to face those challenges together. Neighbors helped neighbors. Families stayed close. Communities celebrated small victories. People repaired things instead of replacing them. Conversations solved disagreements more often than angry posts on social media. Yesterday reminds us that happiness has never depended entirely on technology. It has always depended on relationships, on kindness, on shared experiences. Those lessons remain just as valuable today as they were decades ago. Why we keep revisiting yesterday. So why do millions of people continue watching old television shows, collecting vinyl records, driving classic cars, listening to music from decades past, and telling stories about the good old days? The answer isn't really about nostalgia. It's about identity. The past reminds us where we came from. It reminds us of the people who shaped us, the parents who sacrificed for us, the teachers who encouraged us, the friends who stood beside us, the grandparents whose wisdom still guides us. Yesterday isn't simply history. It's part of who we are. Every generation carries pieces of the generations before it. The recipes, the traditions, the songs, the stories, the values. They are quietly passed from one family to the next, and as long as we continue sharing them, yesterday never truly disappears. The greatest treasure of all, perhaps the greatest lesson yesterday offers, isn't found in old photographs, classic cars, vinyl records, or black and white television shows. It's found in something much simpler: presence. People were present. They looked each other in the eyes. They laughed without recording every moment. They celebrated birthdays without worrying about posting pictures online. Children played without counting likes or followers. Families created memories without realizing they were making memories. Maybe that's why those moments feel so precious today, because they happen naturally, without filters, without hashtags, without distraction. Just people living their lives, one ordinary day at a time. A walk down memory lane. Imagine walking down your childhood street one more time. The houses seem smaller than you remember. The trees have grown taller. Some neighbors have moved away. Others are no longer with us. The corner store may now be something entirely different. The school playground echoes more quietly. Yet if you close your eyes, you can still hear it. Children laughing. A baseball hitting someone's glove. A screen door slamming shut. A dog barking down the street. Someone mowing the lawn. A distant train whistle. And somewhere, a familiar song playing softly on the radio. For one brief moment, yesterday returns. Not because time has reversed, but because memories never truly leave us. They patiently wait for a familiar smell, a familiar place, or a familiar song. Final reflections. Life today offers incredible opportunities. We can speak instantly with loved ones across the globe, learn almost anything within seconds, travel farther than previous generations ever imagined. Medical advances have transformed countless lives. Technology has made many things easier. But yesterday reminds us that progress doesn't have to come at the expense of connection. Perhaps the greatest gift we can borrow from the past is not its technology, or its fashion, or even its music. It's its priorities. Making time for family, checking on a neighbor, sharing meals without distractions, listening more carefully, laughing more often, putting the phone down long enough to truly be present. Because someday, the moments we're living right now will become someone else's good old days. The children laughing in today's backyards, the songs playing on today's radios, the family dinners happening tonight will someday become treasured memories. And just like generations before us, people will look back and smile. So maybe yesterday isn't asking us to return to the past. Maybe it's gently reminding us how to live better today. If this journey brought back wonderful memories or reminded you of someone special, we'd love to hear your story. What do you miss most about yesterday? Was it the music, the neighborhood, Saturday mornings, drive-in theaters, family dinners, or simply the slower pace of life? Share your favorite memory in the comments below. Your story may bring back a cherished memory for someone else watching this video. If you enjoyed this trip down memory lane, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to The Good Old Days, and turn on notifications for more nostalgic journeys, celebrating the people, places, music, and moments that shaped generations. Until next time, take care of those you love, treasure the moments you're living today, and never stop revisiting yesterday.